And hit the go live button. I believe we are live on YouTube. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Work in Progress Wednesday stream on, I guess I should do the date. I don't know. Wednesday, May 10th,
Boo.
2023. Boom. I am Mr. Pink, otherwise known as Modern Synthesist, and I am joined by my erstwhile companions, Kajan.
Hi.
And TacticalDbag, sometimes referred to as Will.
Hello.
Hello, Kajan and Will. Thank you for joining me tonight.
My pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
I have no idea if DarthBob's going to join us, but he's here sometimes, so we'll see what happens. But I see that Dwarfinage is in the chat. Dwarfinage hit it up early, telling everyone to like and subscribe for more zany, stream stuff. And that also Bargaze is here, which is very late for Bargaze, so thanks for joining us, Bargaze. Yeah, and I do need to become, Bargaze made a joke that I need to become the Great Devourer. I do need to become the Great Devourer because I haven't had dinner yet. Because I was working late and then I had to walk my dog, and now I'm here. So yeah, why don't you guys start by telling us what you've been up to in your hobby lives this week? Or since we last spoke recently.
Since we last spoke. First of all, we also welcome Brad Evans to the stream and Tom Wilson.
Oh, that was quick. Awesome. Good to see you guys.
I think I'll be going first. I've been working on my Screamer Killer some more, mostly on the arms. Putting more definition on it and filling in, starting to give it the proper forms.
And like those arms, Kajan, look very similar to the arms that we're seeing on the new Screamer Killer. Did you start with that design before it was cool?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, you all watched me last time when I started with them. So
That was definitely before we saw the new Screamer Killer. So
the model itself, yes. The idea was always to go more in the direction of the second edition one and having it more stabby.
Yeah.
Because as I said back then, this is what I imagined the Screamer Killer to do. It pierces into some armor, and I wanted to have some really nice piercers.
Yeah.
And Alcheminis just joined us as well, and Diana.
Oh, hey, Alcheminis. Oh, Diana's here too.
Yeah, that's mostly what I have been doing hobby-wise, other than running a pen and paper game, but nobody wants to hear about that.
Well, didn't we talk about that once and it was interesting?
Yeah, I don't know if it was interesting.
I thought it was interesting.
I was interested.
Yeah, but that's
cool. Thanks,
what
man.
I've been up to.
So is your goal to finish your Screamer Killer before the Games Workshop Screamer Killer drops?
Well, I hope so, but probably not likely. Not at the speed at which I'm working.
I don't know. I think you're going pretty quick.
I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, a little bit of pressure, might get you going. I'm feeling some pressure motivation on my own Screamer Killer conversion I'm doing here. Because I don't have to finish it before the Games Workshop one comes out, but I want to finish it before the Games Workshop one comes out because I want to have my hobby space free to work on like the new Leviathan box Tyranids. So I should probably get this to its rightful owner.
I'm still hoping that the box that we will be getting announcement for the box being more with more limbs and not just push fit models.
Oh, you mean like the full Screamer Killer kit later or something?
Yeah, that's more what I'm interested in than the push fit version.
I suspect that they'll eventually have kind of a full, more posable and more optioned kit moving forward. Just
I would hope so.
I have a suspicion that they're gonna make that like modularly available as like an old One Eye, but that's just a that's just a sinking feeling, just because I think their GW seems to be having a trend of just embiggening all of their characters anyway. So
Yeah.
why not showcase off old One Eye as, you know, an old screamer killer?
That was certainly like a rumor. I think one of the rumors that we saw was that there was going to be a Screamer Killer Old One Eye dual kit.
Wasn't that like the macro effects or
Oh,
whatever they were calling it?
and I think that so there was some eagle-eyed person. Damn it! Someone sent me this, and I can't remember who. Like went through and paused the video where because in the Games Workshop video they quickly show the sprues, and I think they identified that the Screamer Killer and the Neuro Tyrant were on the same sprue, like mixed together. And I think everything else in the box was on like disparate sprues. So I don't know what that's proof of, but to me that says that like anything that's on a disparate sprue, like its own separate sprue, that might like the push fit thing might be the standard model for a long time. You know, like this is in its own sprue. We can put it in its own box, and then this will be the like whatever thing. But the fact that the Screamer Killer and the Neuro Tyrant, someone saw them being like mixed up on the same sprue, that leads me to believe that, well, what I want to draw from that is that there will be separate kits for those two models coming sooner rather than later, and that there might be some more options, which is interesting because we talk about the Screamer Killer and the old One Eye combination, but like, what would a Neuro Tyrant get that like for options? Or it might just be that for years, like with the Chaos Venom Crawler and the Obliterators, that Games Workshop just keeps putting Screamer Killers and Neuro Tyrants in a box together. I don't know.
I'm a little worried about the whole affair with the push fit models. I really hope we are going to get the proper kits.
I'm sure like later on, like isn't it confirmed that oh yeah, they confirmed it because Games Workshop said you don't need any glue for the starter set.
It was one of the big taglines that came in. Like no glue needed, and when I read that, I was like, no, all of them are monopose. We have a new sculptor in the chat, Yoshi 6.
Kajan,
Yeah.
can you delete your last comment?
Yeah, sure.
I don't want to like just put it out on the internet for like everybody. I'm happy to share it, but I don't want to like just like anybody being able to join anytime because I can't delete your comment for some reason.
Yeah, let's delete it.
Bug any one of us, and you can get the link.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone wants to join the Discord, just send me a message on like Instagram. How come I can't see your being deleted? What the heck? My chat's all messed up.
Your chat is stuck. There should be at least
Yeah.
two more messages.
Now I
on
see
there.
Brett. Now I see Brett.
All right, I refreshed my thing, and Kajan's post is
and Yoshi used to be
removed.
in WiP with WiP Shadow, so
That's awesome. Yeah, like I got no problem with new people or anything. I don't put the link to the Discord just like publicly on the internet because I don't want like random spam bots finding it. So yeah, so anyone who wants to join the Creature Conference Discord, just shoot me a message on Instagram, probably the best place, or send me an email, modernsynthesis@gmail.com, and I can hook you up. Good to see you, Yoshi. I don't know. I feel like I kind of remember a Yoshi from, I don't know what you were called on Warp Shadow. Maybe I'm just imagining things. But if you want to share it, let us know what your handle was on Warp Shadow. What did Brett say? Either they're getting a separate different kits later or they'll stay packaged together like the, okay, yeah. I hope they don't stay packaged. Like the weird thing is that we got the contents of the Tyranid, what's it called? Patrol
kit.
Combat Patrol.
Combat Patrol, yes.
Combat Patrol.
Yeah, and the Screamer Killer and the Neuro Tyrant are not in there. And for some reason, I choose to believe that that means that if they wanted to keep them packaged together forever, wouldn't they just slap them in that combat patrol?
No, because those combat patrols are supposed to be on the same power level. So
Oh,
they have this was this new game mode they said was 10th
yeah.
edition would 10th edition would come with. So this combat patrol game mode where you could buy a combat patrol and this would be a dedicated game mode.
Right.
So I
Right, you
figure
are.
it's probably too much of a point difference or balance wise. I don't know what their reasoning is.
Seems kind of interesting.
Okay.
I kind of like the underlying idea that they've got going with it.
Yeah, like make it easier for people to get in, and like if people were like, I don't know what to buy. Well, from their perspective, it's like, here, buy this $200 box, and that'll get you an army right away. But I think it's a cool way to do it.
It's also interesting because like you have like special rules specific to the combat patrol like things. So I think
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, they have like combat patrol specific data cards and like stratagems and stuff that they were showing off. So like even if like just looking at the Tyranid box, which was the 3 leapers, the barb guns, the winged tyrant, winged prime, and I think 20 termagants or something like that. Like I
Yeah.
think if you were to do that, just run that with whatever was available with the base index rules, I don't think they would be that great, but I think they gave a couple of extra little like boons for combat patrol so that like you can play that box like as is without feeling like you know you're getting a little like cheated out relative to other people.
Yep. Nice. Will, what have you been working on? We did Kajan's hobby. Tell us about your hobby recently.
Honestly, I've been working on that weird little sniper gaunt or sniper lictor thing that I posted on Insta a while back and like posting here and there and talking about. Uh, Obviously, kind of.
Sorry, you call it a weird little, I call it an amazing little sniper lictor thing. It's really cool. Anyone who hasn't seen it should go check it out on Will's Instagram, which is TacticalDbag. At TacticalDbag, isn't that it?
I'm trying to remember what I can never remember. Oh yeah, it's all one word, no spaces, no hyphens. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've mused often in the past. I feel like on this stream, other places, about the idea of having like we have a close combat lictor, but like having a ranged lictor. Like, what if there was like a sneaky covert lictor operative with a gun? What would that look like? And Will showed us what it would look like with his cool new conversion, which I'm loving. It's like a giant spike rifle, and I'm a big fan of spike rifles. I honestly, Will, I like heard this idea before. I thought about it. I never thought it was going to work, but like you made it work so well that I'm kind of like, maybe I should try making one of these.
I mean, if it's in all fairness, I kind of got a bit of the inspiration from your spike rifle termagant for your kill team.
I did like nothing on that thing.
And yet it
stuck
sparked,
a tube on its arm.
And yet it sparked an idea. So,
well, thank God. You've officially done more with that idea than I have.
Well, not quite yet, but hopefully. I managed to get a box of the Hellamite
Yep.
Ash Waste guy, and boy,
Yep.
that kit is glorious. Like I am so happy
Agreed.
that I bought it because man, the way that the kit is cut up, it is perfect for NID conversions. Like if you've got the extra scratch and want to do some Tyranid conversions, that thing is just a beauty to work with.
The guy, like the only problem I have with that kit is that the guys are not that good. Like the dudes, the riders, they're like, I don't know, they're so lumpy under their like bed sheets.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of considered that as dross and fodder, so like I didn't really pay attention to that. I was like looking at only just the little like crickets, but like,
Yeah.
and again, the beauty of the kit is just that it's the way that the sprue is cut. Like, it's not, you don't have to do a lot of chop shopping to like get usable bits out.
Yeah, and there's very little on the Helamites. The Helamites don't have bags attached to them. They're just like
yeah,
almost clean. They might have a saddle or something that you have to cut off, but
yeah. Like I was little bit afraid that I was gonna have to do a lot of chopping and stuff because when I was doing my Gene Stealer Necromunda stuff for June Stealer last year, you know, with the subtle plug for this year's June Stealer. What do you call it? I had to do a lot of chopping, like significantly more chopping up of bits than I was anticipating when I started that project, and
yeah.
might be why I kind of lost some steam midway through June last year. But this one is, yeah, like you said, like the baggage stuff. Bags are not even like really grossly attached to anything. Um, and I'm trying to find this one bit that I swear I put it off to the side here. But like the very kind of barbed end of the tail of the Helamites is like just
Yeah.
a two-part piece that is just perfect for turning into like a little wasp tail for nids.
Yeah, I really like that bit.
I genuinely don't know where I put this. Well, we'll find this.
Just chuck a Space Marine, it'll turn up.
Well, but that's pretty much been my hobby week.
Nice.
And before we move on to Mr. Pink,
Yep.
we have Yoshi who said, technically, I'm not even new in the sense I used to be a WoP Shadow a long time ago. I was Yoshi 6400 on WoP Shadow. You may remember me as one of the crazy people that scratch built a Hierophant.
Once again, not crazy, smart people who scratch build a Hierophant. I want to see these pictures, Yoshi. Are you on like Instagram or something? Do you have them posted somewhere? Because I do not recall it specifically, but once I see it, I'll probably be like, oh, I remember this thing.
Robin H said Will Your Sniper is very cool.
What?
Robin H said the sniper Will is working on is very cool.
Nice. I agree.
Oh, so this is the little Helamite tail bit that is two
Yeah.
parts, and you basically get this little, like I said, kind of waspy bit, and it's already making another conversion that's been sitting on my desk. Gonna be a lot easier and a lot nicer and prettier.
I literally had a Hellamite sitting on my desk until very recently, and then I cleaned up in here, and I have no idea where. Ciro, go ahead.
I just wanted to say Yoshi doesn't have any galleries anywhere, which means get on to your Instagram, Yoshi, because we all want to see your stuff. And I wanted to ask, what have you been working on, Mr. Pink?
That's a very good question, Kajan. I've been working on this Screamer Killer mostly. This big beefy boy here. Getting some sculpting done on him and filling in his Screamer Killery claws. Got way too much going on. So these, once again, are claws that were sculpted by Bits of Box back in 2009. We cast copies of one. He sculpted them completely from scratch, but he made them like match the classic Screamer Killer claws. So it's just like cut them up, and so like this is the same claw that I've just cut up differently to mesh with different arms. So there's like a bigger one and a littler one. So this I just cut it at like whatever. You can see those dots. You can see. Oh wait, the exposure gets right. There's those dots on it, and you can see where I cut them. Anyway, yeah, so working on getting these ready for Screamer Killer Boy, and then I did this kind of like side of head detail on my lunch the other day at work, and I'm really happy with it. Like this weird weird vein stuff.
Yeah, I saw that
Someone said they
yesterday.
looked at it and they're like, "Oh, that makes me want to eat some ramen now." I'm like, "Yeah, good point." So, I do want to work on this guy more tonight, but I feel like before we get to that, we should talk about our subject for tonight's stream, which is pinning.
Oh man, we're actually gonna be on topic.
Hell yeah. So yeah, if you look back at I think I have some pictures on my Instagram of like this guy earlier on, you can see that like this part where there's putty, this part where there's putty, and here, they were just pins before. They were just straight pieces of bicycle spoke, which is what Marco introduced me to. This is my new favorite pinning material for legs and weight bearing stuff. It's hard as heck to cut, and it's really hard to bend, but you can do it. Yeah, and this is something that came up recently because I had one of these claws in like a pin vise, and a very talented Tyranid creator on Instagram who we all love, I'm not going to expose them, said, "Oh, what's the deal with those metal things you got sticking out the ends? Like, why do you do that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's pinning. Like, do you pin your models?" They're like, "No, I don't pin my models. I just put a bunch of glue on them." And you can do that with plastic models, like you can get away with it, but as you start to build them out and modify them, like for example, this Carnifex leg used to be attached here and attached here to here, but I wanted it to be longer. So I put a pin in to lengthen it, and then I added some bulk around the pin. Similarly here, I wanted the hips to be a little wider. So I put a big pin in there and a big pin in there, and then I filled the rest in with putty. But then like even for like really small stuff, like this is a close combat Tyranid Prime that I'm working on off and on. People have called it like the Mewtwo Prime because it's got a tail coming out of the back of its head. And it's for the legs on it, like you can see that I pinned it here to reposition it because that's a standard Tyranid Warrior leg. And then this is a Scything Talon arm on the bottom, which is a trick I learned from, I think it's Highfleet Varanus. I can never remember the name properly. But then even like down here, these are like little Tyranid claws off of other, hold on, let me get this. Little Tyranid claws of other arms. And sure, I could have just like slapped a bunch of plastic glue on there and stuck them in, but I didn't really have faith that they were going to stay. So I put little tiny pins in. Oh, I guess you can see from this side. Hold on, I'm going to fix something here. I put little tiny pins in each one of them. And that helps me with posing them. And it also helps me with making sure that they don't fall off because they're so small and so fragile. Although this pin kind of like skipped through, that's not ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and reinforce them with putty after. But yeah, I am obsessed with pinning my plastic models. There's a lot of people who say like, you don't need to pin plastic, you just keep putting glue on it. But I've had too many things snap off that, yeah, I feel like I got to do it. How do you guys feel about pinning?
Pinning is love. Pinning is life.
There you go, Kajan. That's why we're friends.
I also obsessively pin everything just because you just kind of need the stability. I did the same thing for the extension of the legs on this sniper dude.
Yep.
Yeah, like especially when you're like extending stuff and want to put it in a gap, like you're not gonna get that structural stability like without putting a pin in there. In fact, if anything, these days, if I'm adding a little gap to in between the, you know, or just extending a bit, I'm pinning with a paper clip, but also adding a support of some plastic tube.
Yep.
So I kind of twofold like add stuff, and also that just gives me a little bit of extra volume internally that I don't have to like fill in with green stuff.
Smart.
So.
Yeah, that's absolutely smart. I'm too lazy to do the plastic tube part, so I just fill it in with putty. But what I would caution is that when you're doing that, if you put like a pin through here and then you're going and filling this in with putty, don't put all this putty in and then try and sculpt detail onto it right away.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're putting putty onto a pin, if you put pressure on this side of it, it's just going to gob out this side.
Yep.
And then you put some pressure on this side, it's going to gob out that side. So what I did here is I did like the bulk with putty. I let it cure, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to sculpt a very thin detail layer over top.
Yep.
Kind of like what I did up here with the head, where this is bulked up with freeform air epoxy dough, I think it's called. It's this cool material I'm obsessed with. It's very light and very hard. It's like styrofoam putty almost, but then I go in, like you can see this side, there's no detail. It's just the freeform air stuff. And then I go in and I just do a very thin layer of green stuff to do the detail layer.
Yep.
And same thing like here. You see that I've bulked it up with the putty, and I've gone in here and I've done like a thin layer to put the ribs in.
Yep, that's what I've got going on over here on these legs.
Nice. Yeah, so when it comes to pinning, the good thing about pinning plastic models is that it's not that hard to do because the plastic is so soft that it's easy to drill into. Pinning got its start when everyone was still using pewter models, and you could be here all day trying to drill a pewter model to get a pin into it. And in terms of what you can use for pins, literally, like I mentioned bicycle spokes, which Mark Highfleet Milwaukee got me onto. I had a dead bike wheel here, so I just clipped out the spokes. You need really strong pliers to be able to cut these. Like these ones I have here will not do it. I actually bought a big honking pair of pliers thinking they were strong enough. They were not. So there's that. And then like when I did like the little tiny claws on this Tyranid Prime leg, I used this very fine copper wire. It like, this is not strong stuff. Like it'll bend as soon as you look at it. But that allowed me to pose the toes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinforce it by putting putty in there so it doesn't break. So this is most of just like a connector and like a holder so that you can pose it. I've got this, which someone told me might be for soldering. I have no idea. It's got a little more resistance to it. It looks like it's more flexible than a paper clip, but you could use a paper clip. You can use wire coat hangers, like whatever you got. You just need a good pair of pliers to cut them, and then some other pliers to maybe like bend them and shape them into the pose you want. Do you guys have any tips for like sourcing pins?
Well, the most obvious is of course paper clips.
Yep.
That's how you used to do it with the pewter models. At least I remember that. It was
Yep.
always the suggestion to use paper clips. Personally, I'm using aluminum wire. I've starting by 0.3 millimeter.
Yeah.
But I usually twist it up like once or twice. So it's like
Nice.
3 times. It goes up to 0.9 millimeters, and I have floral wire. That's stiff iron wire. It's not. You have to be careful with your god hands and stuff like that. If you are using fine electronics wires, you have to be sure that it's rated to cut iron, because usually they are not. They are usually only rated to cut copper. So you have to be careful about that.
Oh,
Or you
well, that's
will,
what I need.
or you will be nicking your nice pliers, and they will be looking like this.
Yeah, I've probably done that.
You
Yeah, don't use your clippers, your miniature clippers, by any means to cut pins. It's a
No.
bad idea. You need to get some honking like metal cutters.
And I also use 0.2 millimeter copper wire for pins when
Nice.
I need something stronger, like
Yep.
like these heads I've made. I've done, as you can see, I've pinned them all, and those are like tiny details I like to work on for Carnifex heads and stuff like that. And all of them have pins inside. And what I'm doing is I'm using the 2 millimeter wire, and I'm taking my pliers, and I will be squishing and cutting into it, like with this one. and it
Yeah.
has a nice ridge, and when I go around it, and then you get a soft indent, and it keeps the wire from being pulled out as easily.
Oh, that is another good tip. Yeah, that you can, like, if you were to take this brass pin, who is it? Is it James Mahood was saying brass rod? So I've got all kinds of brass rod that I just got from like model train shops. Easier to cut, easier to bend. Not always easy to find. Like there was this set that you could get from Privateer Press that had all these different expansion pins in it. And like I actually made note of these 2 pin sizes because they were so useful and so perfect, and I can no longer find the Privateer Press one. And when I go to buy pins at my local store, they don't have them in these sizes. But yeah, so that's a good point, Kajan, that when you like, if you were to glue this into a model and it's just smooth, if you give it enough like leverage, you can just slide it right out because there's nothing really holding it in there other than the super glue.
Yeah.
But if you take your pliers and you notch it like a few times, gives it more purchase for the glue to like stick onto something so that it's less likely to pull out.
And when you sculpt,
I actually forget to do that. I don't do that anymore. That's a really good tip.
And when you sculpt around it, you can also twist a little hook at the end or something like that. If you already know you will be sculpting around it, this will really secure it.
Yeah. So yeah, there's all kinds of, you can use any kind of wire for it. Like if you're built, like when I was doing the dominatrix, I was using the spokes because it was huge and it needed to like really bear weight. And I think I might have used like 2 spokes together. I don't know. But if you're just building like this Carnifex, you could probably use Kajan's like 2mm copper pins and it would probably be fine. Because once you pin it, then when you put the putty in, that kind of like reinforces it a bit. And another trick that like Bits of Box showed me is that if you want to sculpt onto a wire and you're worried about the putty slipping off it, you can take your pin, you can take some other softer wire, and you can wrap it around like this. And that just gives a little more surface for the super glue to purchase on, or like the putty to grab onto. Like that's another option if you have like a really flexible small wire.
You can
put
use
around it.
you can use old guitar strings for that.
Yeah,
and
true.
If you know any musician friends, guitar and bass guitar strings are fantastic to just have around just for cabling. So,
And if you don't,
Yeah.
they're not that expensive.
Yeah.
No, I bought them. I didn't get them for my friends.
Me
I just
too.
went out and bought them.
Unfortunately, I have no musician friends.
And then the other thing I wanted to note is that if you want to pin, I highly, 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 highly recommend getting God Hand bits. These are Japanese. I think they're made for like Gundam stuff. So people have used these on metal. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend using them on plastic. Also, some of them are really small. Like this one's 0.5 millimeters. You got to be really careful that you're not wiggling your pin vise around because that's going to snap. One of the things that I love most about God Hand is that when I've had like pin vices before and like bits, usually the bottom of the bits that you put into the pin vise are all different sizes. So like if you go and buy a pin vise, it usually comes with a number of different collets. So like it's like there's one size here, and then if you flip it around, it's a different size on the other end. And then there's another one in the back here where it's like still different sizes. So you can hold a different like sizes of pins or different sizes of bits. But the beauty of God Hand is that they standardize the non-business ends of their bits. So you can go like you I think that's the right size for it. So you get your pin vise set with one collet size, and then you go and you get the smallest one they have, a 0.5 millimeter bit. Take it, put it in there, tighten this up. It's tight. Fits. You're like, nope, I gotta go put some bicycle spoke in something or some other really huge wire. So we go for here, the largest bit that they have in this set. which is a 3mm bit. We're going from 0.5 millimeters to 3 millimeters. Loosen this up, stick it in there. It fits.
Nice.
If you've never pinned before, you don't understand the frustration of having to like, oh, I got to switch the thing around to get the right bit size. This is amazing. Like, this changed my life. I bought one set of these. I think it was because they have different letters. The B set gives you a good range. It's like 1 millimeter, 0.5, 1.52, 2.53. And then I went and bought all the rest of them because I'm like, I want all of my bits to be like this all of the time.
See, my kind of cheap ass solution was to just have a bunch of pin vices and just permanently have each one of them with a different size like bit that I use. So these are my
Well,
pin
that'll
vices.
work. Wow.
Not as
Wow, that's a lot of pin vices.
I also have just like accidentally purchased a bunch of these over the time, so I just like had like 4 lying around. I'm like, I don't need 4 of them like all at once, but then apparently I do, because at a certain point, yeah, switching out all the bits time after time does get very tiresome. But that's my
If you're buying a new one, get a God Hand because you don't have to worry about switching. They're all just like
Yeah.
right there where you need them.
Those do look very nice and convenient.
And if you're like me, because I initially bought one of these and I snapped one of the bits because I didn't understand that God Hand bits are a little fragile. When I went and bought the rest of these from my friendly local gaming store, I bought the A set, the C set, and the D set. And they were like, oh, well, this guy clearly meant to get A, B, and C, and D. So they just gave me a B one for free that I didn't pay for. And like, I think a set of these is like 15 or 20 bucks. So they're not cheap. But they're amazing. Like this, if you hate pinning, this will make it a lot easier. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's all my tips for pinning. So hopefully you find that helpful. Let's see what the chat is saying about pinning.
It starts up there with Dwarvenage, who says he also pins everything.
Well, someone did say that if it's like a straight build, like I think it was Yoshi, if there's no modifications, no need to pin. I agree. Like if you're assembling a model like as per the instructions in the kit, you probably don't have to pin it. But yeah, as soon as you start modifying it, those pieces are going to stick together way better once they're pinned. Oh, look, the God Hand boxes stack and they like tessellate into each other.
Aw.
Look at this. Japanese ingenuity. Amazing. Anyway. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Oh, Brett Evans wasn't following you, Will. Now he is. Lucky boy.
Oh.
Dan Keplinger said, teach us the secrets of sculpting around pins.
The secrets are you need to rough them up like Kajan said, or you need to put something around them so the putty sticks better. And then you need to put one layer on, let it set before you sculpt any detail, because the putty will stick better to putty than it will to the pin.
Or you use something you can slide the pin into, like this one, where you have a tube of some sort. Like I used to get mine from what's the thing called where you clean your ears with, those tiny brush things.
Oh, the Q-tips?
Q-tips, okay. I wasn't
Like
sure
this
if you guys...
this kind of thing? Well, that's the brand name. The brand name is Q-tips.
Yeah, I wasn't sure
cotton
if
swabs,
there are
I think.
also Q-tips in overseas and stuff. But yeah, with
I
Q-tips,
think cotton swabs.
Cotton swabs, yes, exactly. If you cut off the cotton ends, you get a tube out of it usually. Over here in Europe, they have become paper, cardboard, some stuff like that. So they're not as useful anymore, but they used to be great to sculpt something into or around, because they were plastic. And you would get a tiny diameter in the center, and you could just slide in another wire and have a two-part connector you could attach and detach.
Yeah, we have the cardboard tubes as well.
And cardboard tubes work, but usually they are tighter, and you
Well,
sometimes
not
have to
yet. Like
drill
ours are
into.
cardboard. We don't have the plastic thing.
Yeah.
But someone asked. Sorry, I'm about to clear this thing out. Someone asked if this is a Shrike. If these are Shrike feet, they're not Shrike feet. Flynn wanted them to be Shrike feet. I just think that a close combat warrior should not have hooves. So I made like raptor kind of feet for him.
To kind of touch on the question about whether or not or how to sculpt onto pins, an additional thing that I know I've been bugging Thrifty because I'm kind of trying to do something here for my Tyrannocyte project myself. You know, I'm using some old clothes hanger wire for the support for this thing, and I've been wrapping as a sort of under layer to like grip stuff of foil, so like standard cooking aluminum foil as like a base, so that you know, whatever putty I start putting on there later will have a little bit of texture to grip on.
The aluminum foil is a huge solution. That's really good. You can I've wrapped pins in aluminum foil, and then what I do is I wrap the outside of the aluminum foil with that really thin wire to hold the aluminum foil around the pin.
Yeah, and I know I think Thrifty mentioned he sometimes also uses a little bit of hot glue as like that sort of base layer, which is smart.
Yeah, that's smart.
And that's also channeling some the War Singer.
War Singer?
Vibes.
Yeah.
Something else you can do. But I just lost my train of thought. So
I just wanted to note I've got one of the hemocytes or whatever the heck they are. I found it. And you can see that this is an unmodified one. So the only like non-native things on it are like it's got some like bindings on its legs. It's a couple, and then it's got like this, not even a full saddle, but just like part of a saddle on it. So other than that, it's completely like buggy.
Yep.
So people made some cool Tyranids out of these, including TacticalDbag.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I also remembered what I wanted to say. Another way how you can stick epoxy putty onto your pin is super glue. If you put a dab of super glue onto the pin, you can sculpt onto it, and the epoxy will be holding much more easily to the pin while you sculpt onto it.
This is something that Simon told me, and I didn't even realize. Like I used like epoxy putty and stuff like that for years, and he clued me into the fact that if you like put glue on epoxy putty, it sets almost immediately.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I've also used Bondic, which I know I've gone on about for a while, and like I personally love it. I don't know if anybody else has had. Oh, let me see. I can pull it. It's basically a tube of squeezy kind of gel liquid resin and a UV light that you can just kind of apply, and basically you essentially can just pour out some liquid resin, especially like for some like gap fills, like for this leg here. I sometimes just use that as the quick infill, and like as you, Mr. Pink, said, you know, like I'll do kind of a rough lower layer, let that cure, and then you know do the thinner final like detail layer on top.
Yeah. Nice.
Jack suggested to use sandpaper to rough up the pins instead of pliers and stuff like that.
That works too.
Or a file. A file was also
or file, yeah.
We have otherwise we have garden wire, paper clips, amateur wire, floral wire, aluminium wire. Those seem to be the preferred ways to pin. And the tinfoil, aluminium foil wrapped around the wire is also very popular.
Nice. So these guys are all experts. Congratulations.
Ooh.
But if there's anyone who's new to it, here's some hot tips for you.
Barker said he hasn't used a pin voice for years. Small Dremel with very veritable chuck to cut the holes.
Oh, Jordan Hill's here. We got lots of friends. We got James Mahood, Dan Kaplinger, welcome.
I'm not quite sure what James Mahood said when he meant when he said called baby gays.
I think
Bobby
he was
gays?
referring. I think he was referring to the Q-tips or whatever the generic name for those would be.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And Tom Wilson said super glue and baking powder over the wire. That's also good.
Oh yeah, super glue and baking powder. That's another good tip that I learned relatively late in my hobby career. That if you put baking soda on super glue, it sets. And it bulks. Like it adds bulk to it.
Yeah, it's how he used to do snow effects.
Yep. Yeah, that's like you used to be able to get that stuff that like I don't know, is it called Jet Set or something that you would spray on your super glue and it would set quicker. But apparently it's some like really hazardous chemical or something. So I just either spread baking soda on it or I blow on it because humidity like liquid sets super glue.
Yeah.
So if you get like like a pretty like moist breath and blow on super glue, it sets quicker because of the moisture in your breath.
I think to remember it was developed as a quick way to close wounds in war, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the story.
I have definitely cut myself with my hobby knife, and just because like, the band-aids are too far away. I got some super glue right here.
I've done that once or twice, but I also feel like weird every time I do it. I'm like, am I putting like cyanacrylate into my blood or something? Like, is this not a good plan? I don't know.
Since it's curing with water, it should be fine. It shouldn't be transporting anywhere.
Right.
But I don't think it's very healthy. I mean, there's a reason we still use sinew to close wounds and don't just glue them shut with super glue.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't know this. Dan Kaplinger says cotton also has an exothermic chemical reaction with super glue and it hardens instantly.
Oh, nice.
That's useful to know. Cool. Guess that's why when you get super glue on your shirts, they're just toast right away.
I think every time I've had like any sort of cotton near super glue, what I ended up having was a lot of cotton strands like on whatever the hell I was trying to glue, and then like 20 minutes of swearing thereafter.
Yeah. I see that Yoshi uses epoxy sculpt for most things. Very wise.
Here's a good company here.
Yeah.
Using the approved epoxy. Creature conference.
Oh, good to see Erat's here.
Hey, Dwarf Ninja also uses super glue whenever he has a cut. It's not just me.
There you go. You're in good company. What do I need? Tools. Hopefully that's enough. So I've mixed up my green stuff. I got my Nivea cream to lube up my sculpting tool.
As you should.
As I should. Well, for anyone who's new to this and wondering what the heck I'm doing. Let's go. That's better.
I find it kind of funny because like the big tub of Nivea that I have is just kind of perfect for just using as a base to hold my models, to like kind of spin her around when I like take pictures of them. So
Oh, nice.
like you'll notice that it's like, unless like it's just cut up bits on my cutting mat, like most of the pictures that I post up have that Nivea cream tub like right underneath it, and I kind of wonder what some
Yeah,
people
I
are
have
like.
noticed that.
Kind of wonder if people are like, what's up with all that like Nivea cream that he's got everywhere?
It's because he's smart. He's an expert modeler.
I wouldn't say expert. Although, as I commented in the Discord the other day, I forget who it was that had recently purchased that 3rd edition Hive Tyrant model and was like doing some conversion work with it. But I forgot like how chunky the details on that model were.
Yeah.
And like it definitely kind of made me feel a little bit more confident
Like an
in
expert
myself.
sculptor.
It's like, oh, okay. It's like my stuff isn't that bad. It's like I feel
That
like
model
I'm at.
was not sculpted by Jess Goodwin.
No,
to
it
be
was.
clear, Jess Goodwin was too busy sculpting other Tyranids like the plastics. He did not get to work on that Hive Tyrant. He should not be blamed.
Wasn't that Mark Bedford?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure.
I honestly didn't pay close enough attention, but maybe.
I feel like I recall that Mark Bedford did like the Tyrant, the Grinfex that everybody kind of has that love-hate relationship with, and
Yeah.
I think the Biovores from that era.
Oh man, those are all a bit rough.
But to his credit, nobody has made like a particularly better Biovore since. So like,
True.
he's not losing out on that account.
Yep.
And I feel like it's kind of a losing battle if like you're. It's like, and then the other one, the better one that everybody likes, was designed by Jess Goodwin. It's like, well, yeah.
Can't beat Jess. Let's see if I can get it better.
It depends on the size of the stick.
Now, no violence, Kajan.
Oh God. And I am so glad that I am not planning on all of this green stuff work is purely sort of bulking out work right now, because boy, there would be fingerprints everywhere on this thing.
Yeah, that's another good reason to do like the bulking work and then sculpt, that you can do a rough layer. You don't have to worry about getting the details super right while you're trying to like get the right volumes in.
Yeah. Then you rush, and then that's when you start realizing you've, given people your fingerprint data all over your model.
Oh no, I doxed myself on my model. Didn't even think about that.
I'm mostly glad that apparently the quality of camera feed that I'm providing to YouTube is not so good that you're going to pick up any of my fingerprints. Hooray! Stay low def, people.
There was that, like, I heard a story about, apparently there's some app where you can like take a picture of a key and then make a copy of it.
Oh yeah.
Like someone's door key. I'm like, that is a little bit scary.
Yeah, high def enough cameras can take pictures, can capture fingerprints. Like if you're just like kind of waving at the camera.
Wow.
Yeah.
Creepy. It's so creepy.
Yeah. But luckily, nobody is putting up a lot of pictures of themselves onto the internet, so everything is fine.
Yeah, no one does that ever.
Yeah, who does that? Weird.
And general compliments you guys on your smooth baby hands.
Yes.
Honestly, it's pretty much this part of my left hand. This first
Yeah, me
knuckle
too.
that's very smooth. Very well moisturized. Which is funny because
Same here.
I kind of burned this part of my hand like 2 years back pretty badly, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, conveniently, I needed to moisturize, and that's where the moisturizer goes. Which, I guess as an aside and a warning to everybody, be careful when lifting things that have hot duck fat in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Duck fat.
yeah, is delicious, but also will scald you.
At a cost.
Otherwise known as napalm.
What?
Hot fat is very sticky. If you get it onto you, it's very hard to get off. Also, I'm told.
Uh-oh.
What do I use the last bit of my green stuff for?
Filling a base, filling a base, filling a base.
I've started doing this thing where I like when I have a little bit of leftover green stuff, I just kind of roll out like a roll of green stuff. It actually kind of worked out okay because the torso that I for this sniper guy ended up having a internal support of like a cut bit of that. And I think I kind of also internalized that like one video of Valbjorn like sculpting out like those Space Wolf like knife handles and stuff.
Oh, whittling them?
Yeah, which again seems like something that should have been obvious, but
I don't know, man. Like, I respect Valbjorn a lot, but today he had this thing where he was like sanding and filing green stuff to make like greaves on a Space Marine's legs. I'm like, dude, why don't you just sculpt it?
Because sometimes filing it back down is easier.
True.
I mean, the arms I'm working on, they are partially sanded, filed, and filed. So it's how I mean, probably easy to see right now. If you look at the shoulder joint, it's how I have been getting the muscle proportions better, because when I just blocked the epoxy on, you just it kept shifting in ways I didn't like. So I just let it cure and filed it to the position I wanted it to be.
Okay.
I kind of like a final filing and sanding sometimes, just to if I feel like when I sculpted something over, like it was a little bit lumpier than I had hoped for. So like after it cures, I kind of enjoy doing a little bit of a final sanding and stuff on my green stuff work sometimes if I just want like a slightly smoother, just a ever so slightly reshape something that you know I thought didn't end up being sculpted quite as neatly. So
I am honestly too lazy. Like I don't file, I don't sand. I can't stand it for some reason. I don't know why. Because I feel like invariably then you get like marks on it, and then you got to go back and put some green stuff to fill it, and then you got to file it again, and then you got to fill it, and then you got to file it, and you got to fill it. And it's like, no, I can't do it.
Well, you only get marks on it if your sandpaper is rough. So you just need a finer grit of sandpaper. Or you need something like this, which is a glass file, which is also very you can get a nice glass file, which also it's for polishing nails, to get a real fine finish, and it also works on models. But yeah, my skills with pure sculpting is just not good enough to just sit there and get without filing and cutting and yeah. Mm.
It's not a skill thing. Like it's just a different tool for the job. Like Bits of Box, here we go. Talking about me doing some cool sculpting. Like Bits of Box gets like armor plates that you could set your watch to. They're so sharp and so reliable. And he does it by filing and cutting. So it's totally a valid approach to things. I don't know. I just try and fudge it by sculpting though.
Yeah, I mean, reductive sculpting is still sculpting, so
Yeah.
but for me, I just see it as a lack of skill. I mean, I see what you're doing, and you're doing a couple years more than me, and I just take the shortcut and get it into the ballpark, and then do the rest with a file or sandpaper.
I actually see the sculpting as the shortcut. I'm like, whatever, I'll just sculpt it. I don't want to do all that busy work after.
I think I brought it up. I think it was like after that first time he posted up that video. Valbeamer posted up that video of that like knife blade. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things that I see it enough. Like I've watched enough how it's made, and my Facebook feed and Instagram feed are filled up with enough videos of people building stuff and using lathes and stuff. But I keep forgetting that
Yeah.
in sculpting, like as Kajan said, the reductive versus additive, uh, um, you know, steps are both part of the sculpting process. That I think
Yeah.
I think because we're working with epoxy and we're often just like trying to add stuff to what's already there to a certain extent. We kind of I think it's easy to forget that's like, hey, like even if you go a little bit overboard, you can always cut it down, sand it down. I know,
Add some more, yeah.
yeah, I know in the Tyranid Hive Discord, there's a lot of people doing, their first conversions and first screen stuff, and it's a little bit clunky, and I think some people are like, oh, I think I put too much. It's like you can cut it off. Wonderful thing about green
Yeah.
stuff is that it's very easy to just like get rid of things that you don't like. The number of like things that I've sculpted, because I got that like flying venom throat like conversion that's been sitting on the sidelines for flipping ages for me. I have sculpted and unsculpted so much stuff on that damn thing at this
Yeah.
point. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, that's sometimes, it's, if it's not looking good, just lop it off, or cut off just everything but, the parts that you like. And like you can always add more green stuff to it again later. So,
I think that famously, Simon Egan, when he was doing the Forge World Tyranids, that I think our Simon Schnitzler told me that Simon Egan came from like he used to work in like making toys or something. And apparently when he did those Tyranids, he was doing subtractive sculpting. Like he was like carving them out of wax or something.
Huh.
Because that's like the way that things were done in his artistic realm.
Man, I guess that's like carving, like for anything. If you're working with stone, right? Just that's entirely a subtractive process, since
Yeah.
you're not really re-adding marble.
No. Good point. Kajan, you want to take a spin through the chat?
Yeah, sure. I think we can start with we skip over the duck fat chips. And we are going to Era, who said also loving the Screamer Killer, Mr. Pink. I'm working on some arms particularly inspired by the new one for my Screamer. So
Nice.
it sounds like more people are working on a Screamer Killer these days.
Good.
John Wilson said, I have two tidbits of information for the painting phase from the painting phase podcast to do with
Oh, tell me.
Tyranids. Someone at head office could just have been a grunt. Said he thought they should get rid of Tyranids because they take away the existential dread that the orcs should provide.
What? That's stupid.
And I so don't see it.
Isn't there enough existential dread to go around, guys?
Yeah, but how do orcs...
Whoever felt existential dread about orcs?
Yeah, that's my question. I never had... Orcs always seemed like the kind of guy you could reason with if you really had to. I mean,
Yeah.
all you want is...
Chaos is decidedly more of an existential dread like element in the 40k universe than orcs, I think.
Yeah.
I always felt like if the Imperium wanted, they could go over to the orcs and be like, hey guys, we have a lot of fighting for you guys to do over there. We're going to ferry you over. I mean,
that's weird. Thanks, Tom. I've not listened to the painting phase lately, and that's cuckoo bananas. I'm glad that guy was not listened to.
Yeah, it's a strange take. And Jordan Hill said, if they take away my pretty bugs, I'll throw a brick through GB head office window.
Nice. I do not condone violence, except for in the protection of Tyranids.
And Tom Wilson, I think this is the second tidbit of information. Bob Nesbitt was asked to sculpt a Tyranid queen that was refused because it looked too much like a xenomorphed queen.
Oh, too bad.
And wait, and yet the 3rd edition Tyrant was like okay.
Exactly.
Like as soon as that one came out, as soon as that one came out, it's like this is the Alien Queen. Like the carapace is like a little bit different, but come on now.
Maybe they got it. They're like, oh man, Bob Naismith, you did this thing. It looked too much like an Alien Queen, and then they gave it to, wait, who was it? Who we think?
I think it was
Bedford.
Mark Bedford.
They were like, quick, Bedford, make us a hive tyrant. We need it quick because Naismith did this Alien Queen, and then Bedford's like, here's what I got. And they're like, shit, that still looks like an Alien Queen. Oh well, we gotta put it out. Print.
We'll fix it in post with the DLC.
In 2001 or whatever the hell that was. You're right, because that is very much the Alien Queen as well.
In reference to our sculpting approaches, Dwarvenesh said, I think what it boils down to is that Mr. Pink prefers to sculpt organic matter, and
true.
Filers tend to sculpt armor and machines.
That makes sense.
Oh, interesting. Except for, well, I guess I was thinking about Calamity, who does all those mechs, and sculpts them. But I guess he also does a lot of like filing down and cutting away.
I mean, yeah, you're definitely getting crisper edges and
yeah, you need them. True. You can get it. Like, this is the thing. Like, people are like, oh my god, you're such a good sculptor. I'm like, no, I just sculpt Tyranids and they're easy. Because I don't need to worry about crisp edges. Kind of on armor plates a bit, but like not like sculpting a mech or sculpting like Space Marine armor. That's why I can like throw shit at, I love Valbjorn, but that's why I can be like, oh my god, guy, I can't believe you're filing this. Why don't you just sculpt it? It's like, no, if he was trying to sculpt it, he'd lose his mind because he's trying to do armor. So probably it's way smarter to file it or to whittle it or whatever. Hey, fun fact, I'm getting to the point now where I have to sculpt the veins on this side. Like I did the veins on his left side. And I got to sculpt the veins on his right side. This terrifies me. Every time I'm like, I don't know how to sculpt veins. I can't remember how to do it. And I literally just go in and go like, and I'm like, okay, that looks kind of good.
I believe the old tried and true methodology of faking it till you make it is the
Exactly.
go.
This is my whole life sculpting Tyranids. I'm just faking it till I make it because I'm sculpting the easy stuff. It's like sculpting Chaos Spawn. No shade on Brett Evans, but you get some leeway with Chaos Spawn. You can put some weird stuff in it and be like, that's weird and asymmetrical. It's like, yeah, man, it's chaos. It's like, oh, okay, gotcha.
So that reminds me that the new stuff is starting to introduce a little bit more asymmetricity.
Yeah, you're right.
Just
Yeah.
asymmetry to the Tyranid line, which I know, and especially with the number of comments I know, like most of us have made about it's a gaunt head that they've put on a big monster, or it's a gaunt head that they put in a slightly medium monster.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been seen, guys.
True. That's the thing. Like, no matter what we want to say about the new Tyranids, we have to give them massive points for not just putting a gaunt head on everything. Like, even they made a second type of gaunt, like the neuro gaunts, and they didn't just put a gaunt head on those. They gave them very unique heads.
Yeah,
good work, G-Dubs.
That's actually the only part of that thing that I like.
The head?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good work. We like credit where credit is due. Good work, Games Workshop. Thanks for seeing us. If you saw us at all, and even if you didn't see us, thanks for answering our prayers.
Yeah, I will say I find the move towards like the idea of these sort of like control like parasite bugs that they seem to be going aesthetically with some of the newer stuff kind of fascinating.
Yep. Mind slaves are back, buddy.
I did not really think that was going to be a direction that they were going to go, so that's kind of interesting. But
I think I commented on this when we did our like stream about the reveals, that when we did a previous stream where we talked about like our wish listing for like what we think we're going to get from Tyranids and what we would love to get from Tyranids, Simon literally said mind slaves. He was like, well, his was more intense. Like, he was like, I want there to be a Tyranid kit where it comes with this little critter, and then you can buy like someone else's infantry unit and you can like put the critter on them and make them your mind slave. And, like, we don't have that yet, but we got mind slaves.
Essentially, yeah. Kind of.
Yeah. Here's the annoying bit. What am I going to use?
Let's see.
What's going on in the chat?
We pretty much have caught up, but Dan Kaplinger said carving wax is very common in jewelry, and yeah, I agree.
I'm pretty sure Dan Kaplinger does a lot of wood art, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but anything you want to cast, you will do it in wax, because you can pour the casting medium into there and the wax will just burn away. And that's how you get a real good cast if you cast it into the.
Yep.
So,
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Tom Wilson said, wasn't enough to say go and watch it, but I figured I'd pass on the info here about.
I appreciate that, Tom. In fact, the first reason that I ever went to painting phase is that someone told me that tabletop Pete, the tabletop guy, whatever, he mentioned me on there.
Wargaming.
That guy.
Yeah.
Wargamer Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave me a shout out on the painting phase.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, sweet. Thanks, Pete. So they asked him, they're like, Pete, what would you do with Tyranids? He's like, I don't know. I'd talk to Modern Synthesist. That guy knows what to do with Tyranids. I was like, ooh, he knows my stuff.
Jordan Hill said squiggy lines work, I think, in response to what you are working on right now.
Yeah, you just got to make some squiggly lines. I overthink it. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna mess it up.
Robin Edge said, I sculpt veins in the same way I sculpt wrinkles.
What was the second thing? He sculpts veins the same way he sculpts what?
Wrinkles? Wrinkles?
Yeah, wrinkles.
Yes. Yeah, I sculpt those by getting a tiny snake of epoxy and pushing it down. And then you have a small ridge which you can manipulate.
I just did like a thin layer of epoxy and then push and pull it around.
Yeah, when I worked on the big brain turnet I put up on Instagram in November, I also did something similar what you are doing right now. But when I was done, I realized I had fallen into a mechanic pattern and everything looks the same.
Oh no! Like without realizing it, you were like duplicating.
Yeah, it was.
It didn't feel organic.
Yeah, after at the end, it just looked like I was just doing the same pattern over and over and over again, and it
Oh
wasn't.
no!
It
Yeah,
wasn't
see, that's the
random.
challenge.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. This is similar to how I do brain matter, that I just start doing squigglies and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I was. But when I looked at it in the end, like a day later.
Are you sure? Maybe it was just because you're so close to it that you were like overly critical. Maybe another person looking at it would not see it as so uniform. I don't know.
Possibly.
Don't be too hard on yourself.
I don't know. I should have it somewhere I want it, so.
Maybe, you know, it just evolved into a very symmetric vein pattern.
Hearing evolution is a wondrous thing.
When all else fails, just fluff your reasoning, you know, for why something is the way it is.
I mean,
when all else fails, Tyranid evolution.
I mean, I tried to go for the, as people can see on the camera now, I tried to go for the.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But in the end, it all looks very much the same. And yeah, it works better over here where it was more random, but here I really fell into a pattern and it bugs me. But yeah, anyway.
It still looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, like Will said, Kajan, if you're not happy with it, you can just cut it off and start again.
Yeah. Or sculpt an armor piece over it and hide it.
Yeah, that works. You don't like your tattoo, just put another tattoo over your tattoo.
Exactly.
I believe the great Adam Savage refers to it as hiding the crimes.
I can get behind that. Oh, we have a few more comments in chat.
Yeah.
It's the Mauser from I can't remember what. That's the Neurogant. I have no
Sorry,
idea.
what's the Neurogant?
The Mauser?
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 I have no idea.
Not entirely sure either.
Who said that?
Jordan Hill.
Explain yourself, Jordan. Mauser.
Yeah.
Oh, so it sounds like it's a character.
Yeah, I think it's a character. I have just no connection.
It's something later about a robot with a beak jaw. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, I know what it is.
Oh,
it's
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. Yeah, those little dudes with the two legs.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, that's genius.
Blast from the past.
Oh, now I want to convert one. Now I want to convert a Mauser. Oh, that's awesome. Well done, Jordan Hill. forgot what those things were called.
See, Setanuli says that I hate that the shroud was pulled from over my eyes. I see gaunt heads on all of our models now. Yes.
Sorry, Setanuli.
Sorry, dude.
It's our fault. Well, fortunately, your new models don't all have gaunt heads.
It's true.
Getting out of gaunt head territory into new territory.
Yeah. No, it's head without a lower jaw.
Also, Setonuli, can you tell me, if I've asked before, I'm sorry, can you tell me where your name comes from? Because I think it's a really beautiful name. I want it to be like a star or something, but I don't know.
Oh, also, since it's like 9/11, just as a reminder, everyone should like and subscribe if you enjoyed.
Oh, thanks, Will. Yeah. I know that if you're commenting in the comments, you are definitely subscribed because only subscribers can comment because we had prawn bots. But yeah, please like this video. I know I always forget to like videos on YouTube, so I don't blame you. But yeah, let's remind you to like the video. I also always forget to remind people to like and subscribe. So I really appreciate it when Diana, Dwarfenage, Will, Kajan help me out with that. So thanks, friends.
Word.
Especially Kajan, when Kajan's like plugging my like Patreon and all that.
Someone has
He gets
to.
extra points.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
Hey, want to join my Patreon? I got a Patreon. You'll get a fancy hot bug summer sticker, which I'm handing out to everyone who are my patrons. I don't have one right here, but maybe Will or Kajan do. Wait, no, Kajan, I just sent yours, Kajan. You don't have yours yet.
mine
It should show up soon.
Nice.
I only had like a certain number of Europe's stamps, so I sent them to Marco, Simon, and Symbio Joe, because Symbio Joe has given me more money than anyone on the planet. So, well, there we go. Can you hold it up and get like more focused? It's
well,
it's like really potatoey.
My YouTube video seems to be very potatoey, but I'm putting it down here on the my mat. Just boy, that really is just trash quality video right there. Oh well.
Ah well.
It looks fine on the Discord.
So yeah, there's no tiers in my Patreon. You can contribute whatever you want. Everyone gets the same thing. And I appreciate it.
Ooh. So I finally cut the lower abdomen of this, the little tail of the Hillamite.
Yep.
And it's great for a little like barbed tail for a Tyranid, but I think I noted it in the Discord, but it's also kind of the perfect shape for like the old barbed tail that the old Rogue Trader plastic Tyranid warriors had.
Oh my god!
Right?
You're a genius!
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
That is absolutely an old Tyranid warrior, like, oh no, well, I have to buy so many more of these damn things. Oh, you're a genius.
Yeah,
wow, well done, sir. Well done.
I know you showed off that like picture of that old converted like 2nd edition throwback plastic warrior, but like this thing with like the piece de resistance on that thing.
I agree. That is well done, man. Well done. That is a perfect find. I think is it mot juste? Is that what people say when you find the exact right word for something? That is the bit juste. And fancy and French up in here. Okay, I think I'm overdoing this. I think I need to stop.
Man, that bioplasma is giving him a splitting headache.
Ah ha ha ha. So I think I figured out what I want to do with the new Screamer Killer. when I modify it to make it look more like the classic 2nd edition one. You know how it's got like those weird beefy jowls, and I think they're supposed to be like the thing that shoots at the bioplasma?
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to preserve the beefy jowls and put them inside the mouth. Like make the mouth big
Oh.
enough, and then I'll take the one that's on the right-hand side of, like I'll take the one that's on the exterior right-hand side of the face, and I'll put it on the interior left side of the face. I'll take the one that's on the exterior left side of the face and put it on the interior right side of the face, so that when you look in the mouth, the beefy jowls like kind of come out in here as like bioplasma emitters. And
Actually,
then he
that
doesn't have
makes
like the big square.
that actually makes sense because if I recall the original 2nd edition fluff about the bioplasma, it's like the screaming sound is supposed to be the sound of like some chitin plates
Plates.
in like the throat.
Yeah,
that are
chitinous
supposed to, like,
plates inside its esophagus
Yeah.
that make the plasma happen or something.
Yeah, I want to, and I think this is just an issue of like the studio painting, but like I'm really looking forward to seeing, with no offense to the studio team because they do a good job, but for what they're supposed to do, but I'm really kind of wanting to see what other better painters do with that model, just because the way that they painted those sort of side carapace bits on the Screamer Killer just kind of makes it look like he's got like mutton chops or something like that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate painting, and yeah, just I'm looking forward to just seeing a better paint job.
Yeah. Me too.
It feels kind of like the issue with a lot of the GW previews. A lot of times it's like, does this model suck or is it just the painting? And I was like, oh, okay, this is not as bad as I thought it was. Like once like somebody paints it,
Yeah.
some different. Like,
I've had that where I'm like not keen on a model, and then someone like really like talented paints it, and I was like, oh wow.
yeah, that the Parasite of Mortrex, like I still kind of don't like the studio paint job, but like Ryan Minis, Ryan's Minis.
Yep.
Yeah, Ryan's Minis like paint job is like lovely, and just like, oh, I like this model.
Yes. He was robbed at the Golden Demon. He did a very good job. I don't know. I don't know if he was robbed, but I think it's just that it's such a high level of competition at the Golden Demon that it's tough to make it. But yeah, if you're not following Ryan's minis, you better go check out his stuff, especially his Parasite of Mortrex that he recently entered in the Golden Demon in the UK. I think he got a pin for it.
Yeah, I think he said he got a pin.
Yeah, he said.
But apparently commended is higher than pin. I thought pin was higher than commended.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Like the dragons from Game of Thrones. I think that was a question for the Screamer Killer.
What? Oh.
How it produces the.
How they do their fire?
Yes. I don't remember how the dragons from Game of Thrones work. So.
I think I blacked out a lot of my memory of Game of Thrones after season 5.
Yeah.
I know I watched the whole series, but I think my mind is just like, let's just, that didn't happen.
Yeah, allegedly.
Is it that one particular line that they said in Dorne that was just so bad?
I don't know. There was a lot.
You don't need a good
that was
girl. You need a. Remember that one? It's
No,
terrible.
I think again.
It's horrible.
I think it's part of the just blacked it out of my memory. Just never happened. Never existed.
Wait, but did you watch House of the Dragon?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
It's very good.
I've heard
It's
good
very
things
good.
about it.
Much better than Game of Thrones, although a little rushed, but much better than Game of Thrones. Women were actually somewhere near the writing room, unlike Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah. Oh, Game of Thrones. And that story.
Everyone like Nora has not seen Game of Thrones, And all of my friends are like, "Oh, you have to see it. It's so good." I'm like, "No, she really doesn't.
I
She
mean,
really does not have to see it. There are better things to watch."
the first 5 seasons, I think, are pretty solid. Uh, there's definitely a lot of HBO-ness going on with a lot of the exposition. Uh, that's definitely gratuitous, but I don't know, I enjoyed it enough. But yeah, boy, that thing nosedived. Something fierce.
Although, like, as much as it nosedive, as much as people want to hate on the 8th and final season, I did enjoy some of those fights.
Oh yeah,
I
some
think
of the
the battles were like the few things that I enjoyed in the later seasons.
I just kind of wish you could have seen more of the Battle of Winterfell. Like
I still enjoyed it. I don't know, maybe I was watching it on crappy settings, but like I feel like I could see more than other people. People are like, I can't see anything. I'm like, oh, I can
man,
kind of make
it
it
was
out.
just so like pitch black on my screen.
Oh.
I think it really depends on like how brightly you set your like TV settings, but yeah, like it was very dark. I was watching the Willow series that they had on Disney Plus.
Is it any good?
I
Like I
like
wasn't a huge Willow fan, so
I liked it because I was a very large Willow fan, and I think that to a certain extent they were going for a lot of nostalgia factor. That said, they made some weird production choices.
oh.
Mostly like they kind of, it was sort of like one of those fantasy series where everyone talks a little bit too like modern,
Oh, gotcha.
which is a little bit like, you know,
What you mean with too
incongruous.
modern? It was just modern.
Yeah.
There was not even an attempt being made at any sort of classic conversation,
Fiction.
and I think the worst of the Willow TV show is that it completely negates the movie. I
Yeah, a
mean,
little bit.
Oh.
he pretty much forgets how that he is actually a sorcerer, and when he does, for many episodes, he forgets he's a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Whenever it's plot convenient that he can't cast, he will be giving some line about he can't muster the energy or something like that, to that effect, and it's really strange. And you have
So it's like that classic Marvel thing where you have a superpowered hero and the only way to make it interesting is to take away the superpowers.
something like that, except they never take away the superpowers. He just doesn't remember he has
You just
them.
forget.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, they made it, it was a weird just plot choice relative to like the relative to the first, well, only movie, I guess. Um, yeah, I didn't like the characterization, like how they treated like the background characters to a certain extent.
You
Yeah.
also have the situation where the Laura, what's her name? Laura,
L-
Laura,
Laura Dannon.
Laura. Then where she is casting, magicking this tree into existence, and the other character sees that happening, and you have 2 scenes later a situation where this would be pertinent information to share, but it's never getting addressed.
Yeah,
Like,
like I think there's a lot of potential in this series. They just made some weird production and scripting choices that I think kind of took away. Like
Oh no. Okay.
the weirdest thing is the music selection is
yeah.
very odd. Like
Like it's not like classical or like instrumental, it's like
they,
modern.
yeah, like it's really kind of weird. I have trouble just like explaining it. Like they tended to
Oh,
have like big music that they like closed out the closing credits with. But they picked like all these like weird 80s like kind of pop music.
or are they going for like the Stranger Things / Guardians of the Galaxy vibe?
Yeah, pretty
Uh
much.
I gotta say I've never seen
It's
Stranger Things, so I'm gonna just assume that
yeah,
that's
but in Stranger Things it makes sense because it's
It's yeah, it's set in the
those
80s.
yeah, it's set in the 80s. But this is like the title Waikiki films who puts 80s songs where they don't belong. Like
yeah.
and
Like
Willow was the same. Willow is pretty much the new season of The Witcher, where you have a production team that's getting all up in the air about having to write in the background, and you can really feel it oozing out of the screen that nobody that worked on this production wanted to work on this production, and
Oh, dang.
they all wanted to do something else, including the actor for Willow.
Oh,
He's phoning it in. I mean, I know he can. He used to be a good actor, and I know he hasn't acted in a while, but he's really phoning it in.
dang.
I can only imagine it's a lack of of direction from the director.
Yeah.
It reminds me of just 2 weeks ago I've seen the new martial arts film with Donnie
Yen?
something, Donnie Yen,
Yen?
yes,
Funny Yen?
with Donnie
Wait,
Yen.
are you talking about uh John Wick?
No, not.
Because Donnie Yen was hilarious in John Wick 4.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the new Xing Xia movie he made.
Okay.
He martial arts film where they're flying kung fu and stuff like that. And he is
Oh, cool.
directing it. He is the main protagonist and stuff like that. And you can really see he is a good actor. But since he is the producer and the director, you can really see he's phoning it in. Like
Yeah.
nobody's asking him to act. Like
Yeah.
he's stepping in front of the camera. This is my line. I'm saying this line, and it's totally devoid of emotion.
So
And
there's this thing that happens with writers where they get so famous that no one wants to edit them anymore.
yeah,
And people have said that like their books can get worse because they don't get challenged. Because they're like, well, you wrote a book and it sold millions of copies, and you're gonna write another book and probably sell more millions of copies for us. So we're not gonna try and like piss you off or anything. We're just gonna you're gonna write something. We're gonna be like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's great, yeah, okay. Sounds like that.
yeah, and it's in that vein, and the movie isn't bad. So I don't want to say it's Sakura. The movie is called Sakura, and
Mhm.
yeah, he just seems like he's playing
He's not.
that famous beggar sect hero, and
Yeah.
you have all these martial arts with, including a dragon's roar when he is doing the big move and everything. So
Oh man.
it's a fun movie. So I have a
Yeah.
soft spot for this the Xingxia movies. But yeah,
Nice.
he's falling it in, and Willow was like that. So Willow, you could see nobody that worked on it wanted to work on it, and it's unfortunately a problem we are having. Like, don't know if you guys saw the Wendy TV series.
Wendy?
Wendy, yes, Adam's Family Wendy with
Oh,
Jenna
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah, sorry, with Jenna Ortega.
No, I haven't seen it. I've just seen that one scene where she dances.
Yeah, that was something she brought in, and it later came out that a lot of the things people liked in the show were actually put in there by Jenna Ortega on request of Jenna Ortega, and the writers are now so pissed off by that they have been giving interviews and ranting about it and being really miffed about it. And they are even now with the writer's strike, they have signed the writers standing outside with signs that pretty much go like, we don't want interference from actors. And you have the same thing with Henry Cavill and The Witcher, where he now left because of creative differences and stuff like that, because he befriended a writer and insisted that you shouldn't be making fun of Roach getting killed and stuff like that. Yeah, something is seriously wrong with the TV productions these days, when you have people working on stuff they don't want to work on. And that also was the problem with the later seasons of Game of Thrones. You could tell those two, Benioff and
they didn't want to do it anymore.
They just lost
Weiss.
Weiss, yes.
Yeah.
When he was like, yeah, she was flying over the sea, and why didn't she see that whole fleet?
And then her dragon just got shot. It's like, what?
She just forgot it. Okay.
D&D were, I think, slated to do a new Star Wars film at the time.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, let's wrap it up because like we're about to get like Star Wars money, from what I recall reading or something. So
this is what I heard, yeah.
And at the very least, with Henry Cavill and The Witcher, from my understanding is that like he's a huge fan of the books and like games and stuff, and from what I gathered, like the producer for the show just didn't care for the source material, so he's like, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. And Henry Cavill was like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, and basically, I think everything that he complained about was things that fans of the series, of the original book series, were like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, that's not consistent at all. So, like,
can't wait for Henry Cavill to be involved in Warhammer. And him be like, we got to do this. And Games Workshop be like, we haven't got the money. And Henry Cavill be like, what the hell, guys?
Henry Cavill is no producer of that show.
Yeah.
He learned his lesson from The Witcher. He's no producer on that show.
Yeah, but he's still going to be dealing with Games Workshop.
Yeah, but I don't think he, as producer, will be allowing the same type of situation where you have a writer team that goes on record in interviews talking about how they don't like The Witcher. And
man, they went on record? That's kind of sad.
Oh, yeah, they're like, the source material is boring. Like, I don't really like it. It's like, then why are you working on this?
Oh, man. And
that's the frustrating thing is like, what? Like, if you just think that it's like a cash cow, like, I mean, I kind of have the same issue with Zack Snyder's like control and like just his general like demeanor and how he approached DC. Like, he just fundamentally missed the appeal of, like, I think he takes everything a little bit too much at face value, and like, frankly, I don't think he's like very like good at like understanding like nuance.
Yeah.
But like, he's like, yeah, like, I don't understand Superman. He just like needs to go around like punching things, and like, wow, you clearly missed the point of Superman. Like, Superman's not exactly my favorite superhero or anything, but like, if you just think like he's just this like superpowered dude that flies around, just punches things.
Superman needs to be written like Hercules. Hercules.
Yeah,
Hercules. The 12 tasks of Hercules are not exclusively go there, punch things because you're the strongest man ever alive. It's go there, do
solve
things
problems
you can't solve with your strength.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Writing class.
Wow, this is a deep
101.
hole. What's going on in the chat?
We have people talking about Game of. We started off with the dragons of Game of Thrones. That's how we got there. Jordan Hill says it's to do with those funky holes in their mouth about the dragon's roar. And
Oh,
I think I need to take a look on the at those dragons, how they solve that.
I don't remember the funky holes in their mouth.
Dwarvenash said, I hate the ads for Willow. I refuse to watch it because of them.
The ads?
Yeah, they were pretty aggressive with the ads.
Yeah, because it didn't do well. I mean, word of mouth was really quick on Willow. Like, don't watch it, it's bad.
Oh.
And yeah. Tom Wilson asked if the movie I was referring to was Ip Man, and no, Ip Man is a great series. Totally would recommend people that love Eastern martial arts movies to watch the Ip Man series, all 4 movies. Then Robin H said, "Oh, the first episode of the Ravening War finally dropped. I have no idea what that is."
Is that Warhammer Plus, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm familiar with that.
Robin has also said, I do agree that writers need to be paid better, but some of the big series, the writers need to step up and stop phoning it in. I actually saw just recently a graph of how many writers were employed for TV shows over the last 50 or so years. And the number of writers for TV for movies has stayed the same, but the number of writers have exploded, especially thanks to the streaming services and stuff like that. When streaming services, when Netflix got big and started its own productions, the number goes up and up and up, which is also why the Writers Guild is now asking for a minimum staff for the writing room and stuff like that. Probably to keep all those writers employed.
Yep.
Dwarvenash said, no, it's Amazon's money, not Games Workshop's money. For the
Amazon's producing that show?
Yes.
Weird.
Oh, not that weird. Amazon and Apple TV have been really going into the whole strange niche fantasy and science fiction stuff.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Amazon produced Expanse, so
I need to finish season 5 of that.
Him intimately acquainted. Season 5 is good. Season 6 is okay.
I thought season 5 was whichever one. I'm on the last one. I just need to like watch it.
Oh, that's season 6.
Okay.
Dwarven Age said, no, the Ravening War is a D&D thing, and still went past me. I did see the D&D movie, and I also can recommend that one.
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was actually fun.
It was a lot of fun. They took themselves as seriously as it needed to be taken.
They should have.
And it feels very much like an adventure, like a D&D campaign playing out, and like people kind of trying to bullshit their way through stuff. It feels real to a D&D campaign, and
cool.
they have a lot of nods to and like little references to the various
it's set in the Forgotten
worlds.
it's
Realms,
set in the Forgotten Realms, and it's full of references to everything.
Cool.
But they don't like put labor on it.
No,
Right.
they don't. So it's totally straight. You get it or you don't, and it's just a generic name for stuff. But if you know Forgotten Realms and stuff like that, it's full of references, all references that pretty much like the Super Mario movie, which I also recently saw. All those little callbacks and cameos and stuff like that. You won't get it like the D&D movie. It has from the cartoon show. I don't know if you guys remember the cartoon show.
Oh, I remember the cartoon
No.
show.
With the little barbarian and his goat and the paladin in the yellow armor and stuff like that. Was big in my for me back in the day. But
Yep.
that group is appearing in the background somewhere in the movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you don't if you don't know what it is, it's just some random some random guys. But if you actually know the reference, you see who it is. It's like, oh, that's cool.
I started laughing
Nice.
as soon as I saw them in the back. Like
And
instantly recognized them.
I didn't at first. When the little barbarian took the axe out of the thing, I mistook him for a hobbit. But then when they appeared in the cage, I saw Eric's paladin yellow armor, and I was like, oh damn, I didn't catch that one. And yeah,
Nice.
it's.
I'm glad it lived up to it.
Yeah, and the usual suspects were all up in arms about it. I mean,
Which means it was probably good.
yeah, not always, sometimes, but in this case, you have the barbarian. The barbarian is a woman, and she is really played like a barbarian, like you would see it on your gaming table. Like, I have no brain, I have just brawn, and I'm totally straight laced, but also a thief.
Yeah.
So it's that Drax dynamic from Guardians of the Galaxy, where you have this guy that's all
Yeah.
everything a little bit too literal because he doesn't need
Yeah.
to deal with nuance because he's so strong. And you have the bard who's trying to bullshit his way out of everything. And my favorite line in the entire thing in the entire movie was, "But we approved it." It was so great. They have a big moment where they bullshit their way through things and things go sideways, and they
Actually,
jump the gun. And yeah, anyway.
it's kind of. I think somebody pointed out in another server that I was on is like they have those like because ultimately the underlying movie is a heist movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in every heist movie, things go wrong along the way, and they're scrambling to like figure out what to do differently, and it's reminiscent of like anybody playing D&D, and someone's like, I got this, like I got like 13 level skill in this thing, like I can pass this for sure. Roll the ones, like shoot, we're all screwed. All right, what are we gonna do? And it has that kind of feel to it. It's like, oh god, oh god,
Cool.
oh god.
Okay. Nice.
It just captures like the spirit of playing a D&D campaign with a bunch of people, I think pretty solidly.
Okay, that's great.
And even sort of like the tongue-in-cheek banter that they have in amongst the the main characters, which worked in the context of D&D, and for they had sort of similar banter in Willow, going back to that, but for whatever reason, like the writing just didn't hit quite the same, but yeah, like all the like notes just hit perfectly. Like the actors were like just all solid. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen
Good. All right, well then I'll have to see it. I was worried it was going to be bad. I also didn't want to watch it because fuck Wizards of the Coast, but you know.
I mean, they do one thing where they like, return the open game license stuff, and then, next thing they do, like after everyone's like, oh, it's okay, we can watch the movie again, is they hire Pinkertons to like harass the crap out of like someone, and
Oh, I didn't know that part. Jeez, okay.
yeah, that was a whole thing, like last week or so, which
A
not
couple of days ago, and when I first heard it, I thought it was a joke until someone explained to me that the Pinkertons apparently still exist.
oh yeah.
Wait, what is this Pinkerton thing?
The Pinkertons were a detective agency that were sort of nationwide in the U.S. Started off in the 1800s. They're sort of notorious for a lot of like being detectives and stuff for a lot of union busting, especially in the
Oh,
1900s. But like they're kind of they don't have a positive reputation. Let's just put it that way.
I mean,
Pretty much at no point in history has like hiring the Pinkertons put you on the right side of things. Like just as the chips have fallen.
I mean, I know the Pinkertons pretty much only for movies.
Yeah.
And usually movies around end of the early 1900s.
It's usually the
Yeah.
Wild West era.
Wild West stuff, and Gangs of New York type of stuff, where
Yeah.
you hire the Pinkertons if you need someone's legs broken. Like
Oh,
they're
okay.
the goons for hire. Those are the Pinkertons. It's like
Okay.
the 1800s equivalent of Blackwater. Like
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
you need someone for dirty work, you go to the Pinkertons. That's how I know them. And then people were like, "Yeah, Wizard of the Coast hired the Pinkertons," and I was like, "Ah, good joke." And they
Yep.
were
To
like,
do what?
What happened was there's a new box set of Magic cards that like was accidentally shipped to a store, and some dude bought it.
Oh, I saw a meme. Wait, did DarthBob put a meme in the Discord about this?
Probably.
most likely.
Because there was something where it's like Games Workshop versus Wizards of the Coast, and it was like Games Workshop accidentally sends someone an advanced model, and they're like, "Oh well, I guess we have to show this now." And then like Wizards of the Coast, it was like it showed like this like I don't know like Rainbow Six looking operative covered in blood saying, "Here are your cards, sir," or something like that.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. So basically, they hired the Pinkertons, and the Pinkertons, from what I have read, allegedly like basically harassed the crap out of this guy because like he basically posted up on it like somewhere. He's just like, "Yo, this is the new set. Check out these cards." And Wizards of the Coast is just like, "Silence him. Get that stuff back." And they did.
Oh
They did
wow.
essentially Pinkerton things.
Dwarven Age is offering to jump on the call. Tell us all about it.
Okay, I need to call it. Like it's too late. I'm sorry. Dwarfenage, put a pin in it. And when we do, because the next Work in Progress Wednesday stream, I owe Dwarfenage a Work in Progress Wednesday stream. Remember before I was like, hey, I need you guys' help coming up with Warhammer miniatures for my party in my D&D campaign?
Yeah.
Dwarfenage has prepared like a whole presentation. Apparently, I'm receiving a package from Dwarfenage related to this. Like, it's going to be a thing. So we're going to do that next time. Dwarfenage is going to be our special guest. And as part of that, Dwarfenage can teach us all about the Pinkertons.
Ooh,
I'm looking forward to it.
this should be good.
Yeah. Two things to
All
look
right.
forward to. Also,
Great. But I got to call this because it's getting close to bedtime.
But before we go, like,
Yes.
subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. And check back here at least next week when the Creature Conference will be back for you guys.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna be streaming with High Fleet Moloch, Hydra, and Flinthammer next Friday. And then we'll have another Work in Progress Wednesday stream in 2 weeks. So you can look forward to that. And I told Dwarfenage that I was going to schedule the Work in Progress Wednesday stream, but I started making a graphic for it. So I got to finish the graphic and then schedule it in advance, well in advance. And as far as I know, Nora hasn't planned for us to go out on a date night on that Wednesday as she's been doing recently. So that's good. All right, gents. Well, thanks for chatting. This has been great. And I'm glad that we got through the pinning tips. Hopefully people found that helpful. I'm glad I sculpted some more veins on this guy's head because I'm always worried about it, but they turned out okay. And of course, now I'm looking at them. I'm like, oh, I should do a little bit of fixing up. Anyway, whatever. It's probably fine. Yeah, it was good to get some work done, and we are 1 week closer to the coming of new Tyranids. So everybody better get hyped because it's going to be one hot bug summer. You heard it here first. So yeah, have a good night, have a good week and weekend, and we shall talk to you soon.
Bye.
Adios.
Night.
Bye.